up, baby? Welcome back. My name is D, and together we are Guiding D Light. So, here we go. Come on, blend in, join in. Let those waves of communication settle out. Okay, you ready? Good. Me too. So energy, what's your energy level at, right? Where are you at? As human beings, we're linear thinking. We want to have a classification, right? We want numbers and factual facts in order to make a logical decision, right? Well, when it comes to source and your energy and your spiritual progressions, that's not really the case that works out, right? Because you could be at one level and then here and then there, and you're simultaneously at all these different levels that how could you even say, okay, you're at 100, you passed, you stop? See, there really is no stopping point, right? We can always go deeper, we can always expand higher, right? Of course, from my understanding where I'm at now, when you get out of duality, things really start getting faster, quicker, and easier, but in the same sense, they get more complex within that dimensional space. And then as you learn to, use that stair step of knowledge, that ladder, and you learn how to get to that oversoul and then go beyond that, right? That's where that true self-mastery takes effect, right? But you can't put a percentage on that, right? Because someone who isn't fully physically with the DNA in the body as far along and progressed as someone who has really progressed, they might have had a consciousness experience with that oversoul that's been a way higher experience than someone who's been very diligent with their body, but yet might not have had those high energetic standpoints. So number one, let's not put any levels on it, but the energy is definitely something to talk about, right? So how you work with the energy, how you use the energy, right? Energy manipulation. When I first started figuring all this stuff out, I was like Dragon Ball Z, kaboom, baby, throwing chi balls and just doing all this cool stuff. But it wasn't really explained to me, and I was just shown that I could do it, and I would do right hand over the top. Well, I was taught that's yang energy, right? So we want to go yin. So we put the left over top, and we want to spiral everything in a clockwise position, right? Feel that energy ball, right? Nothing but love. But as we learn to manipulate energy and to amplify energy, it's very important that we understand what to amplify and what not to amplify, right? It was expressed to me by another talented, intuitive channeler. She was taking free questions, and I love asking questions. I like being a little trickster, It's like, well, what about amplifying energies, right? And the channel response came back, long story short, was you don't have to play God, right? Remember that. I think some of us forget. We get so carried away and so high energetic and so high vibrational or frequency of energy. We have that greater understanding for that master plan that we almost accept too much responsibility and we put too much upon ourselves, right? So I think that's very interesting. All you energy manipulators out there and amplifiers, just choose wisely, right? Don't be amplifying something into a triggering moment that could catastrophically spiral someone backwards, okay? I've had to learn that one the hard way. So advice from me to you is pick your battles. Don't show all your cards, but in the same sense, understand, we're all one, so don't argue with yourself. Don't treat yourself in a manner that you wouldn't treat yourself, right? Do unto others as you do unto yourself. Pretty simple, right? Okay, so looking at the energy and everything, I got this written down. How can you control something you don't own, right? A lot of people want to think they own the energy. You don't own the energy. The energy is of creator, but in the same sense, it is of abundance, right? There is no lack of energy. So once you understand that, you're more adaptable to give energy to other people, right? To uplift other individuals. But don't try to manipulate and control and just, I've got this bubble, right? I'm in my bubble. Because you can't control something you don't own. And if you're not free flowing your energy, you're not allowing the divine pathways to come into your life because you have a shield. Although, I'm not going to lie, at times shields are good. Depends on the energy. Right now, I'd say surrender and accept the blessings, right? Because that's what the beautifulness of what's going on right now. So the next question is, how do you define lack of something you already have access of, or already possess, right? How are you gonna be linear in your thought patterns and in your limitations that you aren't that abundant source of energy, right? How are you going to define lack of something you already possess, right? It's all right here. All you gotta do is turn that heart on, open it up, and just let it, right? And the more you understand that, the more energy you can embody and the more energy you can push out within the field. And that's your mission, is to be here on earth and shed the energy of love and ground it and anchor it into the earth. So if you think you have a lack of energy, or whatever your thought process is there, stop it, because you are already all of the whole, right? So you're law of one. If you become that oneness, then you have that abundance of energy, and therefore you have no lack. So if you think you have a lack of energy, or you think you're not at a certain point where you want to be, that's really a limited belief that's actually pulling you back further from where you want to be. So definitely keep that in mind. You can't define lack of something you already have. You just have to learn how to bring it out, right? Another analogy I like is that you got all these instruments, right? You learn how to play one instrument really good, and then some people, they don't want to go play other instruments. But other higher individuals, especially like myself, we learn how to play the whole symphony, right? We can play every instrument, striking different notes and key tones at certain points in time to compose Creator's symphony of love across the universe, really. I mean, we're talking planet Earth here right now, but in the same sense, what we do here, it sparks ripples throughout the universe, right? You guys heard of the ripple effect, I'm sure. So new energy centers have been activated over these last couple days, especially with the group meditation and this full moon. Now, these new energy centers that are activated inside of you and outside of you help with the communication of energy, right? Being able to see it, being able to move it, being able to decode it, being able to really understand some of these light codes and processes that take place within the divine blueprint of the soul, right? So the communicational cycle is amplified. So if you think about it, your communicational cycle is you with your past lives and everything that you've done here throughout your Akash. But then you also got to look into where your planetorial systems are, right? What planets have you been on around the universe, right? And when you think about it like that might be almost too much for someone to comprehend, but that's that limited belief within inside you, right? We all have a home planet, if you will, and that frequency and that energy is the start of our galactic communication, or our universal codex into the universal understanding of our communication. So as our communicational lines pick up, don't be surprised to see past lives. Don't be surprised to see out-of-body experiences on different planets. Don't be surprised if that spaceship finally comes and picks you up, like we've talked in the past, right? These are consciousness experience that actually code the inner being into having these higher levels of understanding, having these higher levels of communication. Because if you can ask the question within and get the result, then you don't have to go without, right? But then, like for me, if I found out what was going on, and I found, I'd be Googling it. So I wanted to see how many people have shared the same experiences, right? And that's another reason why I do some of these videos, just letting you guys know that, you're not alone. And I totally get that. So the telepathic communication, the mediumship, talking to the dead, ain't that cool? And the higher self interaction is all on super overload, amped up right now. So keep that in mind when you're hearing voices in your head, or certain situations arise and you hear that voice that says no or go, right? Really pay attention to that, so you can trust in your intuition and understand how your intuition is guiding you through different levels of communication, because your communication right now is amplified to the T. So definitely pay close attention to those voices, especially if they're very familiar sounds, right? If you hear a voice that feels familiar, maybe you should listen to it, especially the voice that you hear within yourself, not the recorded voice, the voice within. It's very strong right now, and it's leading to that higher communication of energy, because that energy of that codex is so strong right now. It's wanting to link up, right? Because not only do we want to go and communicate with them, but they're dying to communicate with us, right? And because we're linear thought, until we do the work and we progress and we embody and kind of entwine all this, right, and get that antenna poking straight up through the air, do we not have some of these expectations? And then once it all starts happening, right, it can be like over mind blowing, like, I don't know, this is happening, right? It just happens. And when it does, you think you're going to be ready for it, but you're not. And how you handle those experiences is what builds your character and wisdom. Because, I remember when I first had a couple experiences, especially the visitation, it was like, I'm shaking and I'm so excited, and like my endorphins are just through the roof, right? And then about a year later, after integrating some of the stuff and progressing and doing the work, when I have those interactions, it's more of a calm, normal interaction. So my dopamine levels and my neurons and stuff, like, it's not spiking, it's staying even keel in a moving like a constant flow, like a river. It's just going, right? And instead of getting super amped and then falling back, I got there, where did I go? I'm back, where did I go, right? To keep that keep riding that wave, man. How do you stay super ecstatic all the time, right? It's almost impossible. But then you think about it and you really get out of your way and you integrate some of these higher energies, and the next thing you know, it's like nothing can rock the boat, baby. So, by the way, if you got on the boat, I see you. I love you. If you don't know what I'm talking about, one day you will. Do not contemplate yourself if you're not receiving. I think I already covered that. So yeah, just don't contemplate yourself. Don't use limited beliefs to hold you back, right? Yeah, maybe you went to that global meditation and you didn't experience anything, but something still took place within you, right? You were showing the universe that you're willing and ready to receive, right? The universe doesn't trust you as much as it does with other people, so you're going to have to prove your almost self-worth in a way, but in the same sense, you have to prove your steadiness to that you're ready. Because once they flip the switch, I mean, it can be a little psychotic, okay? So really, just think about the energy, right? It's not yours. There's all the energy in the world. Yes, energy needs to be transmuted. It needs to be manipulated at times. It needs to be amplified at times. But to understand what you're amplifying and for what reason and what outcome that it takes, right? I've been in this huge observatorial mode, right? To where I'm not really forcing energy out like I was, last few weeks ago, but I'm putting energy in places and I'm watching how it reacts. And then from the bird's eye view, looking down, and then trusting my intuition when it says, like, there'll be times where I'm just chilling and it's like, go outside. And I go outside and like a plane will fly over that's kind of out of place. And then I'll get this spark of energy. And then I'll close my eyes and it's like move. And so I move the energy. And it's like, now send it up. And I send it up. And when I send it up, a lot of the times it comes back down in like fireworks or lightning or fairy dust type. And I feel that shower of that energy coming out. And it's like a release out of me in order to free up for new energy, right? And to keep that energy moving. But in the same sense, I feel that blessing and that gratitude from the universe just raining down on me. It's very powerful. Very, very powerful. So I hope you guys' energy levels are well. Like I said, it's full moon. It was last night or today. I don't even know how I say there's pretty much 3 days of full moon energy every time we get a full moon. Like I said in the past, these full moons are only going to get more intense and more intense. And now that we've done so much work collectively, we're only allowing higher information, higher light, higher energies to come in. So it is up to us to embody and to ground them and to experiment through them, but then also to learn how to use them, right? You got your elements, you got yourself, you got your higher angels, you got your oversoul, right? Learning how to blend all those different frequencies and energies into that centerness, that oneness, and then to carry out as normal of a life as you can, right? Because nothing is normal anymore, right? Let's face it. And the more we progress and we get on the soul, we could have that pittiness, right? That I've done all this work, why should I help you, right? And that's not a good place to be. Or yeah, I can get my energy up, but every time I do, someone comes around and steals it. Well, you're putting codexes on that energy, right? It's like you've got all the energy in the world, right? If you understand how to move and manipulate and transmutate it, and others want to take advantage of that, I mean, to a certain point, if it happens all the time, then yeah, there needs to be barriers, right? There needs to be expectations. But in the same sense, if it's here and there and it's just random people, you should uplift as many people as you can, because if you uplift them and they go uplift somebody else, that upliftment comes back to you. That's why I said the number one positive thing you can do is to help someone understand that, their life situation isn't as bad as they actually portray it to be. I'll leave you a little bit with this last one. So I love it when somebody is sitting there and they're like calling themselves out, and they're like, blah, blah, this and that. And then you're just like, they're showing you that you are your worst critic, right? It's thoughts and verbiage that you wouldn't think about that person, but then they come out and they portray it to you because that's how they think about themselves. And then so you got to remember, you are your worst critic. So if you get out of the way, you surrender, you start moving forward, right? And then you stop judging yourself, you quit contradicting yourself, right? Then your intentions and your emotions soar. And when you get so charged up and you get so excited to just tackle anything within life, it becomes so easy. And we overcomplex things, but if we get in that easiness and we trust our intuition and we follow what is burning inside of us to desire, it just happens, right? It's like that law of attraction, right? You get that vortex so strong that everything within your vortex that you want, it just happens. And I've been doing this for more than a few years, guys. And 3 years ago, I couldn't have that concept of that belief because I've never achieved it, let alone seen it. And I've been through more challenges in my life than blessings, right? But now that I'm understanding, I had to go through all those challenges in order to understand how great the blessings are, right? A lot of people I worked with are like rock bottom. Like that's the best place to be, because you've experienced some of the worst that could happen. So there's only one way up from there, and it's up. But how do you keep that person on a trajectory to get to that highest point, to where when they reach that point, they will not sink back into the lower abyss, right? And that's something we've been mastering over the years. And I've got a lot of great patients out there and clients. Love you guys. I hope you're all doing strong. Let's just focus on this higher intensity of energy. Let's embody it. Let's understand that these waves of communication are coming in. Because check it. You might hear me, right? You might hear somebody else and they're in your field, right? They're communicating with you. But in the same sense, it's the God complex, right? I'm here living my life, taking care of my kids, having fun playing basketball, but you could be sitting somewhere and my higher self is explaining something to you while I'm on the other side of the planet teaching someone how to move energy, while I'm up in the fifth dimensional, let's say maybe seventh dimensional aspect, and I'm actually communicating with people about how we're looking down and what we're trying to observe, right? All that can happen simultaneously within 1 second. And that's a hard belief to understand, because but then once you see it and once you understand it, then you're like, okay, well, now I get how God can answer so many prayers, right? Because through the communication and the energy, it's expanding. You're able to be in multiple places at one time. So as you understand that you can be in multiple places, then you start tuning into the places you want to be in. And then I like to leave a mailbox there, right? Leave me some what to check in on. What do I gotta understand, right, from source? And that way, when certain people communicate with my energies, I can go back, and reassure with insurance. It's cool. It's just so cool. The magic and the majesty of it all, guys. I mean, we talk about witches and wizards, but I'm telling you, the energy is amped. I hope you guys are feeling it within you. Now, this is momentum building time. This is expansion time. This is a time to progress into higher levels of states of consciousness, into higher divine states of being, right? With all this going on right now, there's so much manipulation and there's so many different plays within the play, right? But if you think about it, all the timelines that are merging, all the what could happen, the Nasara, the deep state, and all that's distraction, right? And if none of it happens, what's it going to do? It's going to disappoint, right? We've made this point a few times. So really, what can you control? How can you expand? How can you grow? As you grow and expand, nothing else matters. It'll take care of itself because you're on the higher trajectory. To sit around and think an event's going to happen, or sit around and think that something is going to change inside your life without you putting any effort into it, is just straight lunatic. I mean, I don't get it. You got to work hard. I guess I was taught that from my parents. I'm blessed to have that. You got to work hard for what you want in life. But in the same sense, expectations are a mother. Because you get so excited about a potential outcome and then it doesn't happen. And then you're just pissed. You see, I can't be pissed anymore. I'm not allowed to. If I get pissed, the whole freaking county gets pissed. We don't want that. No, we want to stay happy, extravagant, just super full and super... What's that word I want to say? Have that understanding that you're blessed beyond belief and that you're just literally that superhuman in the flesh. And all you got to do is go out there and achieve it every day. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. And the more easier it gets, the more you get to sit back and enjoy the beautiful blessings that you have brought into your life. So guys, stay up, keep that energy high. As always, stay true, be you. Till next time, peace.